To the nation's capital, and we're not talking RG3. DeSean Jackson led the NFL last season with 13 catches of 40 yards or more, 5 more than any other wideout. He also averaged an NFL best 20-plus yards per catch, nearly 3 yards more than the next receiver, Arizona's Michael Floyd. Listen to what DeSean said when asked about cornerback Chris Culliver challenging him in practice.
As far as what challenged me, I don't really get caught up into any of that type of stuff because I'm comfortable and confident in myself that I don't think no one could guard me. So, I mean, he's a good player. Don't get nothing wrong away from him. It's just how I feel about myself. I don't feel no one can stop me. You could go get Darrelle Revis, Richard Sherman, whoever you want to get. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're competing. We're out here. We're working. And that's all that matters. As long as we're able to get the best out of each other every rep and do what we need to do to work to get better, that's what's going on right now.
Skip, DeSean says no one can cover me. Do you like that he said this?
I love it. I have, Stephen A. Smith, absolutely no problem with it. I would have had a problem if he had responded any other way than this way, because I know DeSean off the field well enough to tell you that's exactly how he feels in his heart of hearts. And he should feel that way because Molly read the stats. The stats back it up. He backs up any talk that he's spoken off the field with his on-the-field performance. And remember, those stats were accomplished with a quarterback situation that's been iffy at best, featuring my man RG3. So my point to you, Stephen A., is DeSean Jackson isn't trying to talk himself into that I'm the best. He just knows it. He's been the best for about 5 or 6 years in this league. I think he strikes more fear into cornerbacks and safeties' hearts than any receiver in the league. Again, I still don't know why Chip Kelly could give up on a threat like that, because he absolutely changes the way you play football. Not in the way Des Bryant does. He's not playing with that rage and that possession receiver, 3rd and 12, throw it to me, kind of all or nothing, kind of emotional, passionate role that Des gets on. But I'm going to tell you, if you don't honor this man, he will run by anybody in the league. And again, his button got pushed by a reporter asking about how Chris Culliver has been getting the best of him in practice. And when you rub his pride the wrong way, DeSean's just going to be honest with you and scoff at your question by basically saying, I don't care if it's Revis, I don't care if it's Richard Sherman, nobody can cover me. And frankly, yesterday this became a big story on ESPN.com all day long. I don't know why it was such a big story, trending on Twitter all day. I don't know why, because he just spoke the truth.
Well, to answer your last point, Skip Bayless, it's a big deal on Twitter, or it's a big deal in social media and all of that stuff, because you got a whole bunch of folks out there wet behind the ears that are desperate for headlines. So anything that can generate a headline, they're going to sensationalize and embellish it, and that's what it comes down to. So I totally agree with you. This is much ado about nothing, because everybody knows you take the elite receivers, obviously the Megatrons, the Des Bryants, the Demaryius Thomases of the world. The list you could just go on. Antonio Brown. I mean, with Pittsburgh, who, by the way, deserves this money and is about the same size as DeSean Jackson. You look at those elite guys and the numbers that they put up. The only difference between them and DeSean Jackson is DeSean Jackson is somebody that I don't want to see going over the middle. I forgot the name of the guy that gave him a big collision, a helmet-to-helmet hit years ago. I was at the game. I thought he was paralyzed, crying out loud. I was scared to death for him. You don't want him going over the middle, because DeSean Jackson is a miniature dude. He's not that big. But as a deep threat in the game of the National Football League, I challenge anybody to come to me with a definitive individual who's better than DeSean Jackson, meaning a better deep threat, because I don't know who they are. This brother's on another level, and I don't blame him for feeling like he's unguardable, okay? Then you take into account that he came into the league in 2008. Well, let's pay attention to that, Skip Bayless. He came into the league, his quarterback was McNabb. After that, it was Michael Vick. After that, it was Nick Foles, all right? And then RG3. None are considered elite, pinpoint, big-time passers. They could play the quarterback position. In the case of McNabb, they can win football games. In the case of Vick, his athleticism and speed and agility stood out. RG3, as a rookie, DeSean Jackson wasn't there at that particular moment in time, so he got the other RG3, not the RG3 who was Rookie of the Year. So Imagine for 1 second if DeSean Jackson had Andrew Luck as his quarterback, had Peyton Manning as his quarterback, had Tom Brady as his quarterback, had Drew Brees as his quarterback. Hell, Carson Palmer as his quarterback. Who can throw a deep ball? Tony Romo. I'll throw him in there. All right. Hell, I'll even say Jay Cutler, because Jay Cutler doesn't even have to be accurate. Just throw it up there, and DeSean Jackson will outrun everybody usually and go get the damn football. So we're not requiring Jay Cutler to be accurate, which is something that's a plus for him. And don't even get me started. I digress. The point is, at the end of the day, DeSean Jackson is a bad boy. And he has the right to say that, because that, to me, is where the pressure with RG3 lies. You've got DeSean Jackson. You've got Pierre Garçon. You've got Alfred Morris in the backfield. You're supposed to have a relatively respectable offensive line. What the hell are you doing not getting it done as a quarterback if you know what you're doing at the quarterback position? We wouldn't be putting that kind of pressure on RG3 if we didn't surmise that he has the requisite weapons. But because he does, we believe they should be better, because we don't have any questions about DeSean Jackson. DeSean Jackson is big time. We all know that.
And Stephen A., last point. We've had him on the show. You know him off camera. I know him off camera. I actually find DeSean off camera to be a humble dude. That what he just said in response to the Chris Culver question, I would call that a humble brag, if you will. That in effect, he just was saying, well, you forced me to speak the truth here. I'm going to tell you what I believe. And again, the numbers back up what he believes. But off camera, I don't find him full of himself. I don't find him to be a T.O., a Terrell Owens type. Off camera, he's a pretty easygoing, mild-mannered, not full of himself kind of wide receiver.
Well, let's not throw T.O. in there. T.O. has some off-the-field issues that obviously came to light in the latter part of his career. Some personal demons with family issues and things of that nature that contributed to his need to gain attention and all of that stuff. It wasn't that he lacked humility. It's that, unfortunately, he never felt like he was praised enough. And so you just got those issues, and I think that's the difference with T.O. In the case of DeSean Jackson, I wouldn't use the word humble. He's just supremely confident. He's not fazed by people coming up and thinking they can mess with him, because he knows in most instances they're lying to themselves. They can't mess with this brother, and he knows it. That's what that is. It's not a matter of humility. It's that he's not going to waste his time or energy trying to validate somebody's invalid opinion about what they could do against him, because he doesn't believe it.
Gentlemen, we will leave it there. Up next, to the association, to all my sneakerheads out there, fellow sneakerheads. I've seen Stephen A. with some Gucci's. I know Skip's got a collection of J's. Well, one NBA player is about to get paid off some Yeezys and Stan Smiths. We'll get into that next. Got to keep the kick game on point, right?